Hello, everybody. It's my great honor to be here talking about forestry. My presentation title is Low Carbon Development Through Forestry. So I'll be very fast as possible. So this is a table of content of today. Firstly, climate change on impact on forests and the roles and practices of forest carbon offset, as well as the offset practices of the world and the conclusion. So first, I would like to talk about the state of forests globally. As we all know that the forests play a key role in the low carbon economy, especially it absorbs a lot of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So forests can sequestrate around 7.6 billion tons of carbon dioxide each year. And furthermore, the durable forest products can store additional carbon. So really, is forest a carbon sink or carbon source? We can see from this map, a lot of areas are green, which means it's a carbon sink, but there are several areas red, so it means a carbon source. So the majority of them are from the forest fire. As we see from the map here, that according to the source of Greenpeace, that the majority, 1/3 of the fire in the world from the forest fire. So which is caused by the human activities. And as well, the climate change is further filling up this crisis. So as we see from this graph, Canada, I guess you guys may already know that Canada has a lot of wildfire last year. In 2023, we can see this line is significantly higher than any of the year of the last 5 years. And this year, I think is still continuing. There are other, disturbances from the nature, like the droughts and biotic agents, like insect pathogens, as well as those events like hurricanes and wind, ice. And importantly is that these disturbances tend to co-interact, and this can amplify the carbon loss. So we see from 1990, there's a net forest loss. However, this rate of loss is declining thanks to the efforts from the global community. So now I'd like to talk about the forest carbon offset projects. The global community has increasingly, getting the attention, and it's getting increasingly popular from the policymakers, the forestry carbon offset, because it's a nature-based solution. And as you can see from the map, there's hundreds of thousands of projects right now occurring. And according to the source, nearly half of the new registrations of carbon projects are from the forestry. There are mainly 3 types of forest projects. One is ARR, is a forest plantation. The other one is improved forest management, is improved the forest management activities to enhance the carbon sequestration. And the third one is a RED Plus, which is forest conservation. So really, how does forest carbon work? Is essentially, this is a graph showing a hypothetical afforestation project. Essentially is that we set up a baseline scenario, and if we plant the forest, we can have a significantly higher carbon sequestration, and the difference between these 2 lines are representing the carbon credits generating. And in case of the improved forest management projects, this case is the extended rotation age of improved forest management. We can see that there is a difference between these 2 curves, and this is the area representing the carbon credits. And the forest carbon projects has a whole bunch of co-benefits. First of all is biodiversity conservation. It has an essential role in conserving the essential habitats for not only the animals, but also for the plants on their story. And all those ecosystem services like water purification, soil conservation, and air quality enhancement. The most important part is the socioeconomic benefits to the local community. It can generate a lot of income to the local people. And as you can see from the table, there are lots of RED Plus projects, forest conservation projects, and it's nearly double the amount of afforestation and improved forest management. This is a graph showing that all types of carbon projects, but in the green area, here and there, are representing the forest carbon projects, playing a big role here. And now I'd like to talk about the forest carbon projects in Canada. Canada ranked the third of forest land over the world. 347 million hectares of forest land, but there are not too many forest carbon projects active. Part of the reason is that we don't have too many active forest carbon protocols or methodologies, and a lot of them are limited to the private forest land. And for Canada, the forest ownership is kind of special because the majority, 94% of the forest land is owned by the public, by the federal. So they call it the crown forest. And the only 6% of the forest land is owned by the private. So this is really tricky because our land is managed by the indigenous peoples through generations, and the relationship between the land, the crown land, and the forest management and with the indigenous peoples are really complicated, and there are already ongoing conflicts between indigenous peoples and the crown forest, and now we introduce the concept of carbon, and which is further complicated the problem. That's why our province, British Columbia, is introducing this Atmosphere Benefit Sharing Agreement, ABSA, which clarify the ownership, the carbon right to the First Nations and allow them to sell and trade carbon credits through managing their forests. And only British Columbia has this capacity, and I'll see that there's a pressing need to scale up this similar agreement to the whole country. And in British Columbia, we have the Forest Carbon Offset Protocol, which introduced in 2011, and they revised the protocol and just released the newer version of the protocol, I think in 18th of April, and they made a lot of improvement, especially in the carbon leakage accounting. So I'd like to introduce some other practices in the world. The prominent case is in the US. It's called the Small Owner Forest Carbon Program. This is to gather the small piece of forest land from the small forest owners in the US and to gather the lands together and develop a project in a larger scale. And this can potentially solve the issues related to the cost and greatly benefit the local people. And there's a green voluntary emission reductions, GVER system in China. This is innovative through combining the biodiversity with the carbon. So they develop a lot of methodologies. The one is related to the Ferris leaf monkey. This project is in Yunnan province. They're protecting this critical species. It's actually endangered, and through preventing the forest from harvest, and at the same time they protect the species. And this is the Climate, Community, and Biodiversity Standard, CCB. I think you guys might already know that. This is a very rigorous standard that a lot of projects with this level needs to meet a lot of criteria, 17 criteria, ensuring the climate benefit and community and the biodiversity. And to conclude, so forests can act both as source and sinks, but forest carbon offset can play a key role as a nature-based solution, but Canada is still in its nascent market, and it's very important to, in terms of decision-making, to ensure the balance of the benefits of social, economic, and ecological dimensions. Thank you, guys.